Hello guys, welcome to this video of functions. This is actually the first video I'm doing on functions, and I'll go straight to the questions because functions is actually a very easy topic. So up there we have three functions: function fx, function g, and function h. Okay, so we'll use these three functions to solve each question in this paper. Now, the first question there says solve the equation fx equals to g1. So fx is very easy because we have it up there. Okay. So the only concern we're having is g1. So let us solve g1. So let me just borrow gx down there. Okay. Gx is x squared plus 4. Right there, you can see it. So we want g1. Now g1 simply means 1 is taken the place of x. Okay, so in function g, 1 is substituted x. Now the square of 1 is 1, add 4, you end up with a 5. Now g1 is sorted. So let's answer the question. The question says fx equals to g1. So what I'm going to do is I take my fx, which is 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1 equals to gx is 5. Okay, so 1 will cross to the right hand side of the equal sign and becomes a minus number, negative number. Okay, so 2x equals to 4. Now we need x, remember, so 2 can cross to the right hand side, and because 2 was multiplied on the left hand side with an x, on the right hand side it will be divided. Whenever a number crosses the equal sign, it changes to the opposite of that sign. So 4 over 2 is a 2, and that's our answer. Okay, now let's solve the second part. Second part says fh3. Now this kind of a function, we call it composite function. Okay, composite function, because as you can see, it contains more than one function. There is function h, there is function f. Now don't worry, because this is very easy. All you need to do is to solve the inside part of the composite function. So the inside part is h3. Okay, so that will be our concern for now. So hx was let's see, 2 power x. 2 power x. Anyone who doesn't know where I'm getting this, it's right there at the beginning of the questions. So hx is 2 power x, but we need h3. Yeah? Now h3, remember we said the 3 just takes the place of the x in the function h. Now 2 power 3 from your calculator, you'll end up with an 8. Once your inside function is done, you can now solve the outside function, which is fx. But in this case, it's not fx, it's going to be f of h3. F of h3. Now what does that mean? That simply means h3 takes the place of x in function f. Okay, so function f was where is it? 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1. But now the place of x has been taken by h3. Okay, but remember h3, we have worked it out on the left side, it's an 8. Okay, now 2 times 8 is 16. Add 1, our answer is 17. Okay, now I want us to solve the third part of these questions. F raised to the negative power. Now a negative power 1 simply means inverse. Okay, so they want the inverse of function f. Now where is fx? Fx was 2x plus 1 right there. So let me just borrow it down here and say fx is 2x plus 1. Now we need the inverse. To get the inverse of a function, you need certain steps. Let me just list them right here. The first step you need to do is replace fx with a y. Okay, that will make your working be more easier and clearer. So now let me just write it. Replace fx with a y. Okay, then the next thing you want to do is you'll have to switch x and y. Okay, switch x with y. I think that's the right way to put it. So you switch x with y, and then the third thing you need to do, which is actually the final step, is you make y the subject. Make y the subject. Very good. Now let's solve this. So I'll do the first step. Step number 1, replace fx with y. So I'll just take my fx, replace it with y. That's my equation. Looks much better and less scary now. Then switch x with y. That simply means where there is y, you place x, and where there is x, you place y. Very nice. And then we need to make y the subject. Okay. Now something made the subject should, in most cases, be on the left side. All right. So now that I want y to be the subject of this formula, I'll reverse this equation, so that you can read 2y plus 1 equals to x. Wow, you need to know that this doesn't change the meaning of that math. Okay, then I'll throw 1 to the right hand side. I end up with x minus 1. And then I'll throw 2 to the other side. Okay, I'll end up with y equals to x minus 1 over 2. Remember, it's over 2 because on the left hand side 2 is multiplied. So if it crosses the equal sign, it becomes divided. Now guys, that's the end of the math, and that's the inverse of function f. Okay, so in my answer area, I'll just say x minus 1 all over 2. Done. Okay, let's solve the number D. Number D is saying you do g of fx in its simplest form. Now this is another composite function, and I don't know if you can try this. Just pause the video a little and try to solve it. You need to borrow the idea we had in part B of the questions. Okay, but in this case, instead of h3, we're using hx. So you can use that idea to try and solve it, and then you can check how you're doing it in the video. So I believe you've tried doing it. Let's see if you're right. Now, composite functions, we said you deal with the inside functions first. Okay, now my inside function is an fx. Let's borrow fx from up there. Fx was 2x plus 1. So I'm dealing with my inside function first, 2x plus 1. Okay, so that's done. Fx is done. Now we need to deal with the outside function, which is gx. Okay, gx is let's borrow it from up there, x squared plus 4. So gx is x squared plus 4. Okay, but now the question is saying g of fx. It simply means fx has taken the place of x in function g. So in my function g, wherever I have x, I'll replace with fx. Okay, so fx up there is put into function g. So this will be 2x plus 1. Okay, now you end up with some algebraic identity, 2x plus 1 in bracket everything squared. Now, one of the videos I did was on algebraic identities, how to expand such a thing. I'll just paste the link of the video in the comment section, so that if you don't know how to expand this in an easy way, you can just watch the video and learn. Now, this bracket will expand this way. For those who watched the video on algebraic identities, you square the first term, which is 2x. So I'll end up with 4x squared plus the second thing here will be double of 2x, which is 4x. Then the last thing I'll be having is the square of 1, which is 1. And then remember to include this outside person. Very good. So finally, collecting like terms and tidying it up, we'll have 4x squared plus 4x plus 5. That's our g of fx in its simplest form. Okay, good. Now let's move to the next part, which is part E of the questions. Now part E of the question says h power negative equals to 0.5. Now the power negative, as we said in the previous parts, is called inverse. So whoever set this question simply wants you to find the inverse of function h and then equate your inverse to 0.5. Easy, huh? Now let's get function h was 2 power x. Okay. Oh, function h was 2 power x. Huh? Now we need the inverse of this. Remember the first step, replace that function thing with a y. Okay. Second step, you need to switch the x and the y. Okay. It's going to be 2 power y. Then now the last step is to make y the subject. Now there's another special thing we're about to do. Okay. In such a case, the y is a power. Okay, it's a power of 2 in this case. So making y the subject here cannot be easy in the normal way. The best way to do it, to do such a thing, is to introduce logarithms. Okay, if you check your calculator on the right hand side, those buttons on the right hand side of your calculator, you'll see something called a log. Okay, so we need to introduce logarithm to this question. Now I'll just say log on the left side equals to log on the right side. Whatever you do on the right side, you do it on the left side. So I've introduced my logs. Okay, now we need to make y the subject. There's a rule of log which says this. Please, this is very important. If you have log of a number raised to some power, that power can be dropped to multiply the log behind them. Okay, so this is the rule we're going to use on the right side of our equation, so that our equation becomes, let me show you, log of x equals to, now applying this rule, the power can multiply the log. Okay, so my y to be the subject, I'll simply move log 2 to the other side, then y remains alone. Okay, so I'll have log x. Now because log 2 was multiplied by y, on the other side it will be divided. Okay, there is it. We have made y the subject, and that's the inverse function for h. But remember, according to this question, you're supposed to equate your inverse to a 0.5. Okay, so I'll simply take my inverse, which is this. Okay, and then I equate it to 0.5. 0.5. Now remember, we need to solve it, so that means we have to end up with x as the subject of the equation. So my log 2 will cross to the other side. So now that on the left side log 2 was divided, on the other side it's multiplied. So I'll end up with 0.5 log 2. Okay, write it nicely. Then to get x, let me just finish with the right hand side first. So log x equals to, I have to do 0.5 log 2. Okay, you just type 0.5 log 2 in your calculator. Okay, 0.5 log 2, I end up with the 0.1505. 0.5. Wow, this space is squeezed. But I've managed to fit it right there. So to get x, you do something called the antilog. Antilog is simply 10 raised to the power of whatever answer you're having on the right hand side. In your calculator, you can do it that way: 10 raised to power ans. ANS is at the bottom right corner, okay, second last button. So 10 power ans, you end up with x to be 1.41. Why do we find the antilog? We're finding the antilog so that we can get back to the normal system that we were using. Huh? Good. Now, let's solve the final part of these questions, part F. Let me just ensure it's the final part. Yeah, that's the last part of the questions. So part F is saying, let me just get a different color of pen. This is what part F is saying: 1 over hx equals to 2 power kx. Okay, and they're saying you write down the value of k. So this is our problem right now. We need the value of k. Okay, now if I'm not wrong, hx was 2 power x. Okay, so I'll just call my hx down there, and then equals to 2 power kx according to the question. Good. Now there is something you need to know. Laws of indices. The 2 power x down there can be brought up, okay? And these are to look: 2 power negative x. So anyone who can do that is someone who has done laws of indices, okay? So we have the negative powers, how they behave, and that also I did in the other videos on laws of indices. I'll paste the necessary links in the comment sections below. All right, so 1 over 2x has become 2 power x with a negative sign attached to the x, then equals to 2 power kx, as according to what the question says. If you look at these numbers clearly, the left hand side there is a 2, right hand side there is a 2, so 2 equals to 2. That simply means power equals to power, okay? And x equals to x, all right? So what's k equals to? Simply means k takes the negative thing, all right? So our answer for k is actually a negative 1. You need to note that suppose there was a coefficient that we can actually see clearly. Let's say we had such a thing. Then in this case, guys, k could have been negative 2, all right? But because there is no other number there apart from the equal sign, the negative sign, and it's a single negative sign, simply means k is negative 1. So that's it, guys. You can tune in for more videos on functions. I'll be doing some more just to ensure you guys understand how to do functions without any struggles. Remember to subscribe, and you can share, and you can leave your comments below. Okay, thank you for joining me, and keep it tuned for the next video.